Okay, so we are looking at question 6 in exercise 2F, FP3. If you haven't already done so, please pause the video and have a go. I've got here a diagram of the rectangular hyperbola, and any point given parametrically is CT C over T, and the general form is xy equals c squared, the Cartesian equation. And we're given that the chord PQ, what I call this point P, and say another point Q, and we'll say that P has coordinates CP and C over P. And let's say Q has coordinates CQ and C over Q. Now, we are given that the chord PQ passes through the point 0, 1. So if I draw the chord PQ, we are given that that passes through the point 0, 1. Let me just put that in. And the question says, find the locus of the midpoint of PQ as P and Q vary. So all points, let's say that that's the midpoint there, M, of PQ, of the chord PQ, as P and Q vary. So that's just some general point. And we're given those conditions. So let's start with looking at the x coordinates of x. Let's look at, in general, what the coordinates of M would be. Okay, so let's look at the x coordinate. Let's say I'll put capital X so as to not confuse with that. It will be CP plus CQ all over 2. Is that right? It will be CP plus Q all over 2. The y coordinate will be CP plus Q all over PQ. And then you half it, so it's over 2PQ. Okay, so that's fair enough. So any point, any midpoint of the chord PQ would have x coordinate CP plus Q over 2 and y coordinate CP plus Q all over 2PQ. Now let's use this fact. They've given us the fact that it passes through 0, 1. So how can we use that fact? Because that's the key to eliminating something. So let's just use that fact now. If we find the equation of the line passing through PQ, and we can use this fact, let's see what happens there. Very good. So let's find the equation of the line passing through PQ and the point 0, 1. So as usual, the gradient M is equal to the change in y over the change in x. So let's say the Q coordinate minus the P coordinate. So that's C bracket P minus Q all over PQ. That's the change in y over, I'll just write it, divided by the change in x, which is C bracket Q minus P. Okay, so I can obviously, if I just now write that as, I'm going to delete that and write that just underneath as C bracket P minus Q, because I'm just dividing the changing Y by the changing X. We can see that the C's cancel out. If I times the, sorry, this is Q minus P. Is this Q minus P? Q minus P. Okay, so that's just the gradient. If you're not sure, take your time to. Now, if I times top and bottom by -1, I actually haven't changed anything. So if I times the top by -1, it's minus P minus Q all over PQ P minus Q. Right? But by doing that, I can actually cancel out the P minus Q, can't I? So now the gradient, M, is equal to -1 over PQ. Okay? That is now the gradient of the chord PQ. Okay, so let's find the equation of the line. So it passes through the point 0, 1, so we're going to use that fact. So it's Y minus Y1, which is 1, is equal to -1 over PQ, X minus 0. I'll just put X. Is that okay? Yeah, just X. And we know that Q lies on this line. So we can sub, or P lies on this line, yeah? So we can sub, let's sub in, should we sub in the coordinates of P or Q? Doesn't really matter, let's stick with P. So we know that CP and is X and C over P is Y, is that right? So if I sub that in, okay, so if we sub in X is equal to CP and Y C over P, let's see what we get. We get C over P minus 1 is equal to -1 over PQ times CP. Okay, so let me just simplify this. So this is C over P minus 1 has to equal to, you can see that the P's cancel out, is that right? So it's going to be minus C over Q. Happy? And if I take the 1 to the other side and the C over Q to the left-hand side, that implies that C over P plus C over Q is equal to 1. Now let's just simplify the left-hand side. Is that not C bracket P plus Q all over PQ? That has to equal to 1. Okay, so now that we've used that fact, well, if I look here, this is equal to 1. Well, what's the significance of that? Well, we've got that there, haven't we? That is just 1. And therefore, we can say that the midpoint, no matter what, as it passes through the point 0, 1, just using that property, we can say that Y, the coordinate of Y is actually equal to 1 over 2. Because all that part in green is actually just 1. Okay? So it's a half times 1, which is a half. And therefore, it's actually the locus of points is actually the line Y is equal to a half. So our answer is simply Y is equal to a half. Okay, so using the property that they've given, we can somehow eliminate the whole expression there in green.